Hello, I'm Lenny Rogers with the Cooperative Extension Service, and today I'm here to talk to you about our Taylorsville Community Gardens project. Taylorsville Community Gardens is a joint project between the Town of Taylorsville and the county. And our branch, the Cooperative Extension, is part of the county government, and we have been working this year since early spring, or actually late winter, building the Taylorsville Community Gardens and getting it ready for participants this spring. Now, the Community Garden project, really the Town of Taylorsville has provided us this site, and you're going to see the site today. It is a site here in close proximity. You can see the Town Hall of Taylorsville from where we're standing. They have provided the site. We actually have a small shed on site that we could put some. We're going to be putting some tools in. The Town of Taylorsville actually has put down gravel and landscape fabric around the beds to keep weeds from growing up. Our master gardeners are the ones that actually constructed the raised beds. We've only constructed 10. The beds are 16 foot by 4 foot, 10-inch wide boards, and they're salt treated. We constructed those. I think we had a long work day in February where the master gardeners worked, and we put all 10 of these beds together. Then we had another work day where we moved all of the constructed beds over to the raised bed site. Actually, we had to dig out a little bit of gravel and cut some fabric to get them in place, and that took up one work day. Third work day, we had to acquire, we got topsoil, sand, and compost, Daddy Pete's compost, and Daddy Pete's provided the compost free for this community project, and we're grateful to Daddy Pete's for doing that. So we basically mixed a third sand, a third Daddy Pete's, and a third good topsoil as the media for each of these raised beds. And we had a work day where we had to fill all the raised beds. Thanks to the Town of Taylorsville, they used a big front end loader to help us mix and carry the media over, where we were able to shovel into the beds and fill them up. And they were brim full and to the top of the boards. Of course, when it rained, some of that settled, and we got the beds ready for planting. Now, what we did was, as far as trying to get community participants to use a raised bed, is we basically just charged $10 per bed per year, and that's just to get a little buy-in from the town families, and to put a little bit of money back in the project to help buy a little whatever needed to start the beds for the following year. We advertised at the radio and TV and a newspaper, and we did get sign-ups. Actually, we got more than our 10 beds taken. We actually, if we'd had 11 or 12, we could easily got rid of those. We had people waiting to use the raised beds. So hopefully maybe next year we can expand a little bit. We built it so that we could add another 10 beds, up to 16 beds in the future if needed. We'll go over there here in a few minutes and look at the raised beds and see what they've planted. But I just do want to thank the master gardeners. I don't know how many hours they put in construction and getting these beds ready for each of the participants to have a bed this year. Okay, here we are at the raised beds, and you can see you know, that people have a lot of things planted now. They're flourishing. You can see the beds are fairly long. They're 16 foot long, and that's what each person that rents a bed gets. I failed to mention the town does provide water for the beds. There are times when we don't get ample rainfall. We have to provide water somehow. The town's provided water, and we've got to hook up on a local house here, but they're going to try. They've got a water line here, and they'll be tapping in the future to just get us our own separate water line. So the beds, you can see, they have good rich soil in them. You can see the plants are growing. Not needless to say, some do have a few pests, but the clients will have to deal with those. I did fail to mention I did have a raised bed garden class for the participants before we did start at the Extension Center. And we had way more than what actually the participants were. We had 20 to 30 participants that day, just teaching about raised bed gardening and how to do that. We actually use the square foot gardening concept here, where since it's such rich soil, people can plant more in a small area than they could in a typical row garden situation. Having the compost and good drainage with the sand and the good topsoil, they can plant one squash plant per square foot. It's like 16 radishes, 16 onions per square foot. I think it's 9 lettuce plants. So using the square foot gardening concept, you can really pack a lot into these small 16-foot long beds. As you can see, we have squash, tomatoes, okra. We'll go through the list here in a little bit, but we have a variety of plants here, and hopefully you get to meet one of our gardeners here in a few minutes. We have the local high school built us a picnic table for the participants to sit at in the shade. Most of them come out and work in the evenings when it's cooler, and we have small school age girls up to retired people working these beds. It's a variety of age and several working class people. So I'm just glad that people in the community can have a garden where they normally don't have the space or the type of ground that they could grow vegetables in. So it's been a great project for us. Okay, I have with me now one of our garden bed owners, Terry Graham. Terry lives right next door, and he has a bed, and his son Todd has a bed, and I'm going to let Terry tell us a little bit about what he's got. He's got one bed that was planted first, and then this bed's been planted later. You can see these plants are younger. So Terry, just tell us some of the things you got in here.
Got a little sage and some onions, tomatoes, peppers, okra. There's some parsnips, turnip, carrots, radishes, beets, more tomatoes, peppers, sunflowers, sweet potatoes, and Swiss chard.
Wow,
In this bed.
that's a big variety, and you can see they're small, but it's good to do that with a raised bed, is to have one bed planted earlier so you can have produce coming off, and then by the time that winds down, you've got your other younger bed coming on, so you can have a continual supply of produce. So it's wise to plant it in this manner. So thanks, Terry.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, I don't know if you can see, but this raised bed here has a wire fence around it. And why would one of our raised bed clientele have a fence around their garden? I think they've been having a visitor. Terry, who's the visitor they've been having here?
We've had a rabbit, and it's offspring because it's just a little one, but they've been seen out here. I've never seen any damage, at least not to mine. I know it did get into one of the beds under the Swiss chard, but I don't know if it made a meal or not.
But I see Diane's taking a little extra precaution here, right?
It is, yep.
Okay. Well, behind us is Terry's other bed. Terry has, this was his first bed that he planted earlier, and he's harvested some things out of here. I'm going to let him tell you what he's got, and some things he might have already harvested or things that may soon be being picked out of this bed. Terry, what you got?
Well, we've had some, I know it's not in the picture, but I've got a racing tire filled with lettuce. We've had lettuce, cherry tomatoes, squash. There's some cucumbers getting just about ready to fit. And then around the outside I've got different herbs, and we've had some of those already. The little rosemary, thyme.
Nice.
That's about it.
See, you've got
spinach
oh,
mostly.
spinach. Okay.
And arugula.
Ooh.
That all went to seed. So
Okay. Okay. The broccoli. Did you get any broccoli off of that?
our
Not made-
broccoli's
not-
not good at all.
Not made good heads.
I have no idea.
We might have planted it too late. You think? Because you have to plant that pretty early.
It's kind of starting, but
Right.
cauliflower, no. I've got one, the head's about this big, and once it gets a little bit bigger, we'll have to tie the leaves up.
Right. Okay.
around it.
So this is a good looking bed also. So Terry's done a good job. He's got two of the better looking beds in the area here.
Well, we spend a lot of time out here. Seems like forever picking weeds.
Yeah, picking weeds. I see you watering on those drier times, so you've done a good job. Now, I don't know if you can see in the picture, but we have a picnic table back here, and the high school made that picnic table, and I think one other for us to sit in for the people that work the gardens and even have somewhere to sit down, take a break.
It's convenient because I come home and just sat in the afternoons. And
Yeah. One thing I will mention, we have had a couple people that have donated some plants for the community gardeners. We've had some tomato and pepper plants and some onion sets. I think most of those were donated by the farmer's daughter, Amy Douglas. So I want to thank her for donating some plants for the gardeners. Well, as you've seen, there's a variety of plants out here in the garden, and I'm kneeling down right here in front of some beans. I don't know whose bed this is. Hope they're bush beans. Several rows of beans, and you get quite a few snap beans out of this little planting of beans. If they were pole beans, they would have to be strung, but I think they're bush beans. A little too early to tell, but I don't see any tendrils coming out, so I think they're the bush. You can see behind me in this bed, there's tomatoes, peppers, more cucumbers. Now in the cucumbers, I think there was one or two that you saw that were on a trellis. In a raised bed like this, you can trellis cucumbers, pole beans, white half runners, things like that. A lot of times people plant them in a circle in maybe a 4 square foot area and put a tomato cage in as the trellis. So that works really well for the cucumbers and the pole beans. Pole beans will climb on their own. The cucumbers, you got to train them a little bit, but then they'll get going and they'll keep on climbing. And of course we have to stake our tomatoes too in these beds. But everything's looking really, really good here.
I'm George Holloman. I'm the mayor of Taylorsville. This is the first year for our community garden project. It meant that 10 families could have a garden here for the summer, and we're hoping to enlarge that for the next year. If you're interested in doing a garden here at the community garden spot, please contact Lenny Rogers at Ag Extension or Town Hall in the town of Taylorsville. My wife and I have a garden here. We put it out a little bit late, but it's coming on real well. We have a variety of items in the garden that we're pleased to harvest later on. And by the way, the cost is only $10 for a garden here at the community gardens.